everybody. I'm Khulud Shaban, the CEO of Berkeley Middle East, and also I'm a CIMA qualified. So I will introduce you more about this exam and what is it about. And then I will introduce our trainer. Okay, practically, I will be introducing you the strategic case study exam and the format of the exam. We will be discussing these points, the preparation strategy, which you should adopt. What is the exam format? What is the exam duration? Exam date? Where are the exams conducted? Exam and study tips, and frequently asked questions. Exam strategy. Now, first of all, you have to read and memorize the important facts of the pre-scene case of November, which will be your pre-scene. Of course, while the trainer is giving you the training, he will highlight where exactly you have to memorize which point. You don't have to memorize everything, but surely you have to memorize some facts or some matrices that will help you generate points in the exam. It's not that the exam will come around these. It will come around business advisory and decision making, but these points which you will memorize, it will help you surely generate extra points in the exam. So this is very important that whenever the trainer will explain, you will start with the syllabus, and whenever the trainer will explain, you surely have the week after to at least go through these and get some points. You will maybe not memorize from first time, maybe second reading will become more clear for you, especially when you start doing your mock exams. So this is an important point that you need to keep in mind in order for you to guarantee your pass. Second of all, you will make your notes from Kaplan case study analysis to memorize. Of course, the pre-scene facts which we are mentioning here means, like in the first point, the pre-scene facts means there are finances, like in the financial statements, there are some figures that you need to keep in mind, because this will help you mention in the exam related to the pre-scene. Because the most important point, which also you will go through with the trainer, is that you have to mention points from the pre-scene in the exam, so you will interrelate it in your answer, and you will get extra points for it. This is a very important thing that examiner looks for. So you will have to get something, for instance, that is missing in certain points in controls, or for instance, ROCE, or the like share price, how it's doing, the board of directors. This is part of corporate governance. Like what the board of directors there is some deficiency in, or so all of these things we will go through, the trainer will go through, will analyze for you, and just you should memorize it as important facts in the pre-scene. Secondly, to make your notes from Kaplan case study analysis to memorize. Now, of course, there is the case analysis. We use Kaplan case analysis because it's the best. And from there also, this is related to the pre-scene, you have to memorize these facts of the analysis, because he will analyze the risks, the controls, he will analyze what is the status of the company in terms of growth, in terms of everything. So you will keep these in mind in order to mention them in your answers in the exam. Third of all, you will learn Berkeley study notes by heart by reading it at least 2 times. This is what I was mentioning about the Berkeley notes, which will be explaining. And as I told you, the trainer will highlight for you where exactly you need to focus and memorize, and read it at least 2 times in order for you to grab as much information as possible. Fourth of all, do various mock examination to tune yourself for actual examination. This is actually this point. Sometimes some students take it lightly, which I cannot stress enough, the importance of practice. You are all, of course, with very long experiences, and but still this doesn't stop you from practice, because as a matter of fact, time is very important factor. This is first, time, because the exam is like practically 3 hours. Each section will take 1 hour, and this 1 hour you have to read the question, you have to set your points, and third, you have to expand your points, and this is also the trainer will go through in depth with you. So we will be releasing, after going the first stage of the syllabus and the pre-scene analysis, we will be releasing each week 1 mock exam that you have to solve at home. You have to set your timer at 3 hours. And you should not exceed these 3 hours, because this is part of your practice. You should set your time at 3 hours, 1 hour for each section, and you have to test yourself. Even first mock, maybe it will be new to you. By second mock or third mock, you will be very much well trained for it. But I cannot stress enough the importance of submitting these mocks to the trainer for correction. So because the trainer practically will correct and will report to you about your performance, about any missing things in your performance, which you need to focus on. And this is very important for you, because it will help you focus on wherever weak points or places which you maybe need to focus more or read more in. And secondly, it will also help you practice the time, which is very important. I wanted actually to say one more point in this. Do not read the answers, I advise you, because there will be some mocks for tests and other mocks will be for practice. So I advise you not to read the answers of any mock of the practice ones without first trying at least to put the outlines or solve it fully, or put at least the outlines of your answers, because it can really be tricky. You can feel false self-confidence. You can feel that you can answer these questions, and it will turn out later that you are missing actually some things that you need to go through more. So this, I advise you that you don't miss submitting your mocks, and don't miss in practice at least trying to solve the mocks yourself before reading the answers. Great.
In addition to this, I will add in Khalood's discussion. My name is Dr. Musa. I'm also one of your trainers. So at the end of our presentation, of course, these all frequently asked questions will be answered. And you will see some real exam windows that will show you that, as David asked, that it's an open book. So there is no book for this case for sure. But if you want to ask that, it is an open case study that you forget, if you want to refer page number 5 of this, yes, you can open the case in the exam. But what actually we need to do, as Khalood said, that we need to memorize few things, because you have 1 hour for each section. So if you will not memorize, you are opening, clicking, going to the page, it will eat or consume your time. So you, in order to increase your effective time management, I guess this is really, really important. But you can open your case anytime. If you forget the statistics, you can. We need to know that this exam is focusing on few things, which is totally strategic. There is nothing called calculation. There is nothing called a memory of a formula. You don't need to understand how a ratio is created. So that what is the concept of a strategic case study for senior people like you, that you don't need to be bookish, you need to be more advanced in terms of your thoughts, in terms of your ideas. So you will see during your curriculum, we will focus on a business strategy. So, and business strategy is a very interesting topic because every person has a different way to approach a common objective. Questions will be very interesting and you will feel really excited when you see the questions, because on a senior positions, we face with different things, different scenario on daily basis, where the decision like, should we close the branch, should we open a branch, should we expand, say, in other continents, and should we do a couple of other things. So it's more likely a knowledge backed by your common sense, your practical things. That's why most of our students pass in the first attempt, because it's not like school time study. It's more about practical applied concepts. What are these topics in the strategy? I'm going to explain in the next slide. Ecosystem and business environment is getting very popular. You have to understand who are your stakeholders, how they affect your business, how you keep them in control. You can't lose the shareholder same time, how you handle your supply, your customers, and your connected stakeholders. This is a very interesting area. Again, finance is a core area for finance professionals like ratio analysis, cost of capital. For example, if we want to borrow more for the company and the company is actually in a constraint, your leverage is high, you need debts, equity, you have your own capital. So what will be the best capital strategy? What will be the beta or link with the stock exchange? In every case, every time there is a share movement discussion, so you are talking about the shares. It is also very, very practical and applied. You will get a lot of benefit in this area as well. Risk and returns is the core of every business. So until we don't know the risk, we can't sustain the business. So typically there are, say, 200, 250 a list of risk, like inherent risk, control risk, all that. So we will try to see that how the company given is controlling their risk, what are their deficiencies. Of course, there will be, because that's the knowledge we have to impart in you. So when you see that what company is doing is right and wrong, how it is going to affect you. So that is important. And at the end is the COSO framework. You might heard about control and the risk frameworks. One of them is very famous, is COSO. So you will have a sound control environment where you will see what is your corporate governance, your committees. Do you have audit committee? Who is the member? So those who are in auditing background, this is the interesting area for them. Those who are in financial background, this is the area for them. Those who are good in general thinking or business expansion, business strategy would be a good area for them. And you don't need to be an expert of all area, because you will pass on a totality of the marks. You will not pass section wise, but definitely that is in the end. I will explain the exam techniques, which already a little bit Khalud put highlights on. Now, these are the 20 chapters or topics that we have to study. It is not, if you see them, this is everything in the world. So if you have done MBA or BBA or graduation in accounting and finance, all these topics as already you have covered. So in any case, we are just taking the very, very important strategic points. So whatever written in our study notes, it is likely that you should absorb. When we say memorize, So I will give you a simple example. If the examiner asks you a question that what are the advantages if this company, particularly the case that you will get it, want to expand the business. So actually how you relate it with the text is you have studied the advantages of expansion of a business. So if you are able to recall these points fastly in exam, so you will feel more comfortable and you can score more marks. Rather, at that time only in the exam, you are thinking that, okay, like we understand that expansion has a lot of advantages, but maybe at that time in exam stress and a given time situation, you would not be able to recall. So now I'm going to explain these 20 topics briefly because followed by that, we have to go one by one in these chapters. So business models, business ecosystems. Ecosystem is more that your environment. So who is connected with you internally, like your employees, your management, your investors, and outside your anyone like who has any stake in your business directly, indirectly, like a stock exchange, government, FTA, federal tax authority, and say banks, suppliers, customers. Goals of the organization. So it's very important that you understand in the case that this organization is a non-profit organization or a profit organization or a government sector organization, because three of them will have different objectives and different kind of financial outcomes and obviously other outcomes as well. Stakeholder analysis is very, very important. It's all continuation of your business environment ecosystem. So a stakeholder means, as I already explained you, so you have to analyze who is high power, who is low power. There are some models in that that you will learn and apply in the case. Strategy formulation process, how we set up the strategy, because it's a strategic case study, so you should at least know what is a short-term strategy, long-term strategy, operational strategies, managerial strategies, and long-term strategies. So how we formulate them, what is the process, and we analyze the ecosystem. We see what are the changes coming in the ecosystem. Like your this case study that you are going to have is related to games industry, and we know games industry is growing. Xbox, PlayStation 5, 4, and similar kind as we will discuss shortly when the case will come. Big data is getting very popular, and recently CIMA added one full subject as a financial technology. So in CIMA, as in the basic paper, so they are giving a lot of importance to blockchain, IoT, Internet of Service, and Internet of Things, and couple of like cyber security questions are very getting popular because hacking has increased, ransomwares, and a lot of other things are coming into. Business ethics, very, very important. So even in the last case study, ethics questions are coming. Ethical question does not come like you should be honest, fair, or no. Ethic question comes as an applied side. For example, a management took a decision, and this decision has environmental issues, say employee-related issues, some long working hours, mismanagement in labor handling. So we need to understand customer handling or production failures which are causing a health concern in other industries. So this is called ethics, very interesting, very scoring area which you can pick and choose from your own common sense. Developing new strategic options. So very logical in case study, he will ask, definitely. I can tell you your paper is predicted. There is nothing called you can't predict your paper before your exam. I mean, once you go into your exam, there are, say, 20 areas where he is going to pick and choose. It's your luck. For example, he can ask a question about stakeholder analysis. So it will be right in front and you will be updated with the knowledge, so you can apply that scenario in the practical case study. So what are the strategic options? Expansion, closure, merger, acquisition, and then merger acquisitions are most favorite area. And we saw a couple of years like ADCB, UNP, and then FAB was merged through FGB and NBAT. So Emirates NBD and a lot of worldwide mergers are going on. So merger acquisition, very, very interesting and almost a very predicted area for the exams. Business valuation, how to value your business, very likely to be tested in a way that he will give you to value your business. So suppose if you work in your company, I say, what is the worth of your company? So you can see, okay, should I tell you the asset value? So we say, okay, valuation through assets. Sometimes we say, should I tell you the share price? So I say that this is a business valuation through equity. And there are a couple of other methods that we will go through in the text part, and then we will apply in the case study. So it is really interesting. Business finance, very logical question that this is a situation, company wants to expand. So advise how to raise finance. So everyone knows we need a short-term working capital. We need a letter of credit, trade finance. If we are in trading, we need long-term loans. We can issue bonds. We can issue shares. So these are all common methods. So we have to make a strategy based on our understanding, which we will practice. Dividends also, every case talk about dividend, and this case you will observe. I mean, CIMA has a very stereotype case studies. Just the facts changes, rest assessment remains same. So, for example, your case will show, your financial statements will show that company has announced a dividend. So now you have to think, this dividend is good, too much. Did they give too much dividend? Giving too much dividend is also considered risky because you are not investing these profits in further expansion or other thing. You are giving the money back to the shareholder. This is a criticism. Then maybe very less shares, and then very less dividend, also not encouraging for investors. And you have to see a couple of years that how they are giving the dividend. It's not that you give dividend 1 year very high. Next year, if you give a very low dividend, investors will be very annoyed and they can pull the money. So this also is a scenario in the CIMA case studies, right? So that we have to see in a very strategic and long-term way. Strategic control and change management, very, very important. How to bring change. So as a strategic case study student or as a strategic managers, solving the question, you have to use your best knowledge how to bring changes. How to bring changes strategically, you are talking about only organizational structure. So say I have 3 vice presidents, but I don't have a vice president for say risk. I don't have chief risk officer, for example. I don't have chief environment officer. Say I have audit committee, but this audit committee don't have non-executive directors. Like one of them should be finance background. So this is we will learn and then we will apply. So corporate governance is a part of it. Risk identifications, very, very likely, because as a strategic case study student, we need to find the risk area where there's a risk. So say if you are, let's assume related to your case, I'm just thinking that Xbox, Microsoft product, what they have risk. So the biggest risk they have, everything is online. So they have a cyber risk. They have a hacking risk. if someone can penetrate in their systems. They have credit card details of millions of people, so they need encryptions. So these are all, just randomly I'm talking, but once we go through the case, obviously lot interesting things will come. Internal controls, very likely one question that so we understand the control risk, internal control models. Like the best model in the US environment is COSO, that stands for Committee of Sponsoring Organization. It has components and some objective that we need to go through. Internal audit, very important. So maybe it's scenario build up that we got an internal auditor report and he or she highlighted these points. Now we have to build our answer on that. So again, very interesting. Cyber, I told you already, always last 1-2 years, every case has cyber risk management discussion. So you should know that your industry is more tech based. So cyber security will be the first one. Then we have to see that this company has applied enough resources, financial resources, and human resources. They have technical competencies to have a very effective cyber department, because in the case, he will give you an organizational structure, committee structure, and you will notice mostly these are common deficiencies in all the cases. So that's perfectly identifiable and we can catch in advance. And once you sit in real exam, you will be perfectly ready. Cybersecurity question came, your points are ready. Internal control question come, your point are ready. You are talking about stakeholder analysis, you know a model, strategic choices, how to choose options, implementation model, ready. Business valuation, how to value, you have to think. Asset valuation, equity valuation, or value from other ways, you have to apply, dividend policy. So this is all your content. Any of the content, except one, this business valuation, he will give you a calculator on the screen. You don't need to bring it. This is, I will explain you in frequently asked question. So that will require a bit of calculation. And there is a term we use called beta. Alpha, beta, delta, gamma. These are few words, which is in financial industry we use, but only in CIMA exam we use beta. Beta, geared beta and ungeared beta. You will read all them. And of course, he can build up a scenario of foreign exchange because currency keep fluctuating. So in that scenario, you have to see that do you want to pledge it, like UAE dirham is have a fixed contract, used 25 years against US dollar 3.67. So, but some we have pledging, some we have other methods. So we have to go through them. And if the money is coming outside the country, so you have to propose your management in the case study that how to save yourself from currency losses. And of course, hedging is the only best technique for that, and that we will look into. So this is your content. This is what you have to study and understand. If you already know these things, so good news would be that you will skim it, make your points, and then jump to the case. So we give you a study material which is included pre-seen case. This also you will get it directly from CIMA. One day you will open your email, you will see that there's an email that download your pre-seen case directly from CIMA. So you can download. Then Kaplan case study analysis, as we will, as Kaplan will release, because they are not allowed to release before it is released to the student, the case. So you will get this analysis also. And Berkeley study notes we will release here today. And in every class till this case comes and these two cases come, so we will finish these ones. Then, so I will tell you the sequence. We'll start with the study notes. That's the first thing, right? Then we will get the case meanwhile. So we'll read the case for you. So you will try to pick the statistics. And obviously, once you have case already known to you, then we will do the analysis part. So this is how it works. Strategy is very, very clear. I will repeat the strategy. We will start with the Berkeley slide study notes, which are giving you an academic point-based knowledge, which you have to reproduce, relink with the real exams. So then we will study the case, and then we will study the Kaplan case study analysis. And then we will do practice. We say that practice makes you perfect. So we don't want to take risk. We want all our students to be passed at first shot. So we'll give you 3 hours, computer will open, mock will be released, you will submit in the time pressure, then we will check it for you, and we will tell you where we need improvements. And with 2-3 mocks discussions, I'm sure the 4th mock will be perfect for you. So this is how the strategy works, and this is how the study material looks into. What are the mock exams? Mocks is a typical word we use for already set practice questions, which are 3-hour exam conditions. So it is very, very useful, because not all of us are good in typing fast, right? So some people will be slow in typing. So first you have to take care of typing. Very, very, you can say, a human skill, nothing to do with strategy, case study, or CIMA. So that you need to practice. Secondly, I am not much used to typing 3 hours a day. So when I sit typing half an hour, write some email, finish. So when 3 hours concentrated is different. So these all techniques, real exam scenario, 3 hours sitting, taking your back straight, some muscle not pulling. So these things are very, very important, and you have to be very, very committed when it comes to the mock exams. Let's talk about exam format. So format is very, very clear. It's a 3-hour exam. Now I'll explain. And in the last, we will have a lot of questions. That's fine. So we have 3 hours exam, which is going to change your life as ACMA, CGMA, 2 qualifications. So these three all were very important hours for us. Now, exam has 3 sections. So you're talking about section 1, section 2, and section 3. Each section is 1 hour, means 60 minutes. So now I'll go back a little bit, and I will tell you, say, this all is 3 sections, means he will test all these 3 in 3 sections, or you can say these 5 areas will be tested in 3 sections: strategy, environment, finance, risk, control, right? Risk and control look similar. Finance is independent, and strategy and business environment looks close by. So there are 3 areas. So you can expect questions. First area says strategy and ecosystem. Second, finance strategies, your cost of capital, weighted average, dividend policy, ratio analysis, operating efficiency, whatever. And then your last section will be about internal control, cyber issues, organizational structure issues, revamping the risk register, mapping risk. So this is what is your exam. Now, so these are 3 areas related to your syllabus. So before I go here, I'll come to the next slide and I'll come back here also. So this is the exam looks like. All peers, and just for your information, it's not only CIMA exam look like this. if you appear in any exam that is from Pearson VUE exam centers, they have a blue screen as a border and white screen as a background. So this is what, and maybe it's not readable here, but I can see this is a button for pre-scene. So anytime I forget anything, I will click this one. It will open the window, and same table of content with full case study will open in front of you. So here we say that it is an open case study because there's no book, so we can't say book, but generally we use a word open book. Open book stands for that we have the material already and we can sort it out. So this is an open case in front of you. Now this is the one that you will see, and in exam he is going to give you a new material also. So there is a pre-scene and there is a post-scene also. Means the but it will be linked somehow with the old information. That's why we need to understand what was the old information and what new information he is going to give you. I'll give you a right example away. For example, the video game industry, he said 20% we invested in a company who makes video games. So in this further material, he will say, reference material, he will say that company has changed the policy. Now they will invest from 20 to 40%. So that is very, very important. And you can see these are the questions here. And there is a percentage written here. Means that this particular section has two tasks, means two questions, task or questions the same. And one is bigger, means it has 60% weightage, and one is 40% weightage. So I will go back and show you. Here he sees that this will have two questions. It will have two questions, 50-50, and this section will have three questions. So one information set, based on that information, you will have 1, 2, 3 questions in your last section. And second section will have 2 questions, and he says task, you can say question, task, that's same. Here I want to ask that, do you have any confusion about your exam format, that it is 3 hours, 3 sections, 1 hour each? Each section has multiple questions, like section number 1 has 2 questions, section number 2 has 2 questions, and section number 3 has 3 questions. As the section will start, this window will open, this like window, and time counter will start in a opposite way. So means 59.59 and going slow. So every time you're looking, say 40 minutes left, 30 minutes left, 20 minutes left, 10 minutes left. And then when the time for section number 1 will finish, that window will disappear automatically. And the new window like this for section 2 will come to you. Make sense? 1 hour finish, this section will not come. Because if it is a mixed exam, you know that this is section 1 is going on. It will have questions from strategy, or it is having a question from, say, ecosystem. So you will be mentally prepared for that. Every section 60 minutes. If you finish early, fine. But why you finish early? You have to read it again. You have to add more points, because now I'm going to discuss the marking scheme. So you will not ever prefer to finish the section even you have done it. So I will go to the frequently asked question. This is one of them. And then I will take your further questions.
Thank you.
So before the frequently asked, let's go to the, can I take Khalud? Khalud, you would like to add something?
Yeah. I would like to add something in regard to the 60-40 and 50-50 and 33. Actually, this will be explained comprehensively to you, but I wanted just to highlight 2 things. First of all, you will divide this hour Like we will teach you how, like, for instance, 10 minutes will go for reading question, 50 more minutes, then you can evaluate that you will spend 60% of the 50 minutes left on the first section, and like the rest of the 50 minutes, 40% of it, you will spend it on the second subtask. So this is also some technique that we will teach you when you go through the mock examinations, how to divide your time between the tasks. And secondly, can you go to the next slide, please, Dr. Musa?
Which one? This one?
Yeah, this one. So for instance, you must pay attention to this. Like, for instance, what are the likely benefits and drawbacks of this proposal from prequel? Sometimes, you know, the question has separated questions by and. So this means that there are two questions in this subtask. So you have to pay attention also to this part, which still we will stress it more. That there, whenever there is and separating, there you should pay attention that it might be more than one task in this subtask question. And this 60% will be divided 30-30 between these two tasks in the same question, same subtasks. So this also, I just wanted to fastly highlight it, and later on you will learn it comprehensively.
That's great. Thank you, Khalood. And your input is very good because you are already, I have nominated for CIMA Excellence Award, and you are a runner-up. So your exam experience as my student is very, very encouraging for our new students for that. All British exams like CIMA, ACCA, CA England and Wales, you need to score 50% to pass. If you see the American qualifications like CPA or CMA, they say 70%. CPA has 75%, right? So British exams, yes, out of 100, you have to score 50%. That's make it more likely to pass because the passing criteria is quite decent.
Yeah, CIMA, actually, this 80 is out of 150. This is a way that CIMA do the calculations. 80 out of 150. This is the total mark, which is 50%, you can say, around 50%.
Yeah, that's a marks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I'm expecting that one of you is going to score more than 120 points or marks. And then because every time we nominate one student who is high achiever for an excellence award, let's go back to very, very interesting discussion, which is how they mark, like how CIMA mark the exams. That's very, very interesting. Actually, it's too early to discuss without reading that books and other things, because I generally prefer to discuss when we are going to solve the mock, because there you need this kind of guidance and say advices, but still just to understand. So there are 3 levels of students. Like out of all students, there are 3 ways we can think, we can write in exam. The best is level 3. What is best level 3? Without reading, I will tell you. Suppose there is a question, you give a very nice opening, you give a very nice closing as your opinion, and you give both sides opinion, like advantages and disadvantages. So what you did is you present to a board, this is how exam work, they say that make a presentation for or present your report to the board and advise them on this scenario. So generally, practically how we do in the day-to-day life, for example, we say that there are worst scenario, there is a best scenario, and there is a acceptable scenario, right? Practically all of you, when you do reporting, I also do reporting this way. I never say yes. as my own personal core skill as a group CEO. I always tell to the shareholder, look, this is the good scenario, this is the worst scenario, and this is the better scenario. So this is what CIMA wants from you, that clear, sensible manner, financial, other business benefit of investing. This is, he just took a example, but so he says that you give a starter, closure means opening, closing, then in the favor and against that. So you cover from 360-degree, you get the best answer for that. Now, level 2 are those who are little bit slow in typing, I can tell you, because they are unable to write too much relevant things. So they are forced to be, confined to some, not that elaboration, but a decent elaboration. This also will pass also. So evaluate in a clear and sensible manner. These are the ones that sometimes, say you have 2 sections of your exam, so you give too much time to your first part. So second part, you certainly look at the clock and you saw that 15 minutes left. But you know the question, you know the answer. So what you will do is you will quickly type the points without elaborating them. So these kind of things will be 1, 2, 3. So when Sadiq is going to explain you while solving the mock exams, he will tell you, like, first, when you see a question, you have to type the points that you are going to write. So you score 1, 2, 3 marks. Then you start elaborating. You carry into next category called 4 to 7. And when you add a proper intro and closure of that scenario, you enter yourself into 8 to 10 marks. So our target is to reach ourselves into 10 to 8 marks, and this we will definitely reach with lot of practice, typing, sitting 3 hours exactly for a particular scenario. Because when you create scenario, you do mocks, actually scenario pre-scene goes in your head. That's for sure. You start memorizing everything automatically. So when the question change, information remains same. So you become faster. That's what is a very important thing that you need to understand in terms of the marking schemes. Exam dates are in, obviously you have a November attempt. Every student will have a different date, a different exam. You can, it's not a unified exam for everyone. You can give exam from the home also, and you can go to a Pearson View Center and you can sit there and give exams. Yeah, where can I give exams? So your exams are all the world available, where there is a Pearson View Center. So in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, in Jeddah, Riyadh, we have students all the Gulf area. So you have a Pearson View Center where you can go, and you can do from the home also. Same like I'm sitting, and it should be an isolated room. You have to lock it. They will see all the angles first. We'll take some pictures, send them. There will be a live person looking to you like this all the exam. So you will not look here and there. And that's also an interesting experience. Okay, there are a few questions that we have worked out, but there might be some questions that you can ask now after reading these questions. And so some people want to ask, is it a 100% computer-based exam? Yes, this is 100% computer-based exam where there is no multiple choice questions. You have to take all our written response. So you have to type in the window, which you saw already how it looks. David asked this question, errors in spelling. People like me who studied from United States and Britain, we are always confused with the spellings. So spellings, no negative marking for spellings. You can make mistakes. It will not correct the spelling. That's for sure. So, but there is no mark. It's not an English language test, until you are in the, I mean, exam checker can understand, say, it is rational, so it's with S or Z. These are the difference. So we can put S, some put Z. So, but it will not correct it. And I guess CIMA should take notice. I mean, see, now Google, when we write Google email, Google tells the full sentence in advance. So we are not even used to write a full, like how I write how are. So Google predictive analytics tell me how are you. So if I click, no need to write that, right? You guys also use the same. So, but I mean, it's an exam. You have to think like a student, and there will be no spelling corrections. Where can I get the calculator? Can I take my calculator? Some students are very lovely. I mean, they are in love with their own calculators. So I will suggest you that calculator is on the screen. I will show you here. Because this window, this is a button for calculator. So when you click it, calculator will open. So you don't need to bother, no need to buy. If I say 98% no calculation, 2%, there is one calculation that can be expected that you need it. Sometimes he ask you to calculate weighted average, cost of capital, something like finance portion. So there's no harm to, but it's a calculator here on the screen here. So, but if you
most of the time there is no calculation. Like most of the exams, there are no calculations.
No calculations.
And I can see 2 questions in the chat, Dr. Musa, if you would like to.
Where?
Answer in the chat. Someone typing questions.
Oh, chat. Okay, sorry. So yeah. I was not looking to the chat, so I was. Okay, so answers are autosave or need to save separately. Very interesting question. So I will tell you, like, what is autosave is, so you have 60 minutes. Now 60 minutes you are typing and there's no control Z, there's no, redo. You can delete and write again. So it is saved to an extent that the section will finish automatically. So whatever you have typed, it's saved to that extent. But there could not be any other meaning of autosave. If you can ask what is the other meanings, because autosave means that you write it and you can't use full keyboard in a way as you use in Microsoft Word and Excel. It's a very restricted view. You are typing, there is a limited copy. The text that you write, you can use, but there is no such thing about.
Yeah, maybe he means like he has to save or his answers will be saved. No, apparently anything you type will be saved automatically
till the section finish.
Till the section finish. And secondly, I want just to highlight, because one student once do a mistake, that there is a Scratchpad that they provide, which I advise fully not to use that Scratchpad.
Here is the Scratchpad.
Yeah, you don't have to use this Scratchpad. You can directly just type in the window wherever you want to type your answers, because this Scratchpad, nothing will be saved in. And once a student did this mistake that they put all their answers in the Scratchpad and they end up with 0 marks, because nothing will be saved in that Scratchpad, and you can just put your outlines in the same window which you will be having the answers in.
Yeah, so as Khalud said, that don't use the Scratchpad, use the main window, which is here. And yeah, very interesting question also. No one asks still, but can you copy from pre-scene and paste in the answer window? No, you cannot copy anything from anywhere. You just have writing. Control-C does not work. So how marks will be awarded? I already told you that 80 marks you need to take, and you already see the marking scheme. Is it an overall pass or it's a pass section wise? Obviously, overall pass, you have to pass as 50% of the marks you should get, or 80 points or marks you get. And as I already told you, can I pass in first attempt? You should pass in first attempt. This is very, very doable and likely, and you should. I mean, but you have unlimited attempts. Your exemptions are, say, if you don't pass 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, that's fine. Your exemptions are protected. So you don't need to worry at all. My typing is not good. What I will do, obviously, you have to do some typing practice as well. But because, all of us, we work on computers, so this much typing is fine. I mean, it's not that you need to be a typist. No, not at all. But you can, once you will do the mocks, you will feel that do you need more practice in terms of typing, or you don't need it that way. I didn't study since years. Yeah, this is a very common question. I didn't study since 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Will I be able to study and pass? So the good news is that it is a very good thing that you didn't study last 10 years, 15 years. The reason is, first of all, if you have learned something which is not relevant to CIMA exam techniques, so first you have to unlearn, and then you have to learn the new thing, so you are safe from that hassles. So second thing is, it is very, very strategic and applied. So if you have a work experience of any type, I know there are people, students who have work only, say in audit, some are only in financial, they don't talk about cyber or other areas, but that is still not that way. You are not going to be a chief information officer. You are looking from a strategic point of view, like a CEO. So it is very likely, it is very, very okay that you didn't study since long, because actually what you are going to do is, whatever you learn as a practical person, watch TV, CNN, business news, talk with the friends, just try to open some business, close it. These all experiences are very useful for you in the strategic exam, and you will feel quite, if you are a strategic person as a nature, you will feel very connected with after 4 weeks. Do I need to memorize? This is already we discussed. For me, obviously, when the analysis part will go, so every student thinks that what they need to memorize, what they don't need to memorize. So, for example, there is a ratio called working capital ratio. So what I will do is, I will memorize this ratio because this will not change. My company ratio and the competitor ratio also I will memorize, because in exam, if I want to calculate a ratio, I will waste my time. So these are only few ratios. If I memorize them, say my company ratio is say my interest cost is 6%, competitor is 3%. So I will not calculate in the exam. I already memorized this. And then I will say that my cost is higher because of this reason, and my competitor having a better cost. So my management should take effective steps to reduce the leverage and this and that. So this is why we don't need calculator. If we memorize all the possible calculations in the exam, before the exam, it will be very, very useful. I know that few things are early to perceive, but as the progression will go in the course, you will feel more connected and excited.